All right. How's everyone doing? My name is Amir Rubin. I am Chief Parakeet at Paracosm, and I'd like to talk to you today about how the next generation of 3D-enabled mobile devices are going to bridge the gap between this boring place we call physical reality and virtual reality. And so the enabling technology of this is a depth sensor. Depth sensors are able to sense the world in 3D using infrared lasers, and if you've ever played with a Microsoft Kinect, that's the classic example. And whether you believe it or not, every phone in the coming years will have, in addition to the camera everyone knows and loves, it will have a depth-enabled camera paired with it. And in fact, at Paracosm, we believed in this vision so much, we have been working in secret with Google since last summer to help them develop Project Tango. And so the very cool thing about Project Tango, which you can see in this video right here, is that the 3D sensor allows it to understand the world that it lives in. You could come see a demo of it later on if you're interested. And this is going to change everything from augmented reality to how we play games to how we take photographs by being able to experiment with different focal lengths. And so the big idea that I'd like to ask today is, what if in the course of everybody taking selfies at a bar, or if someone pulling up their phone to check where they're, on the latest discount in a shopping mall or playing a game in their house, what if in the natural course of interacting with the world with your phone, we skimmed off a little of that 3D data and sucked it into our cloud? And I'll talk about why in a minute. But let's take a step back and say, what are the current options for reality capture today? Today, what we have are laser scanners, which many people in this room are very familiar with. They work great, but they're very expensive, and they're only useful when used by professionals. It's a single professional crew setting up a laser scanner, scanning it, and creating a static CAD model for the customer. Our whole question is, if we have a mobile, cheap, pervasive sensor, if 3D sensors become cheap enough to be in everyone's phone, if they're mobile enough that they're in your pocket and you can walk around with them, what happens when we harvest that data and use it to build a 3D model of the world, sort of like a collaboratively consumed reality capture? And this here is a fun little example of the Plaza bar right up front. Similar to how Photosynth stitches together color images, what Paracosm has developed is a cloud that can take this 3D spatial information from everyone's phones and stitch it together into these accurate, beautiful 3D models. And this has some really interesting implications. When models go from being made by a single person for a single customer, the very nature of the model changes. When a airport or a hospital or a shopping mall is modeled by every visitor to that facility, who owns the model? And if it lives in the cloud and all the visitors are constantly updating as they're playing with their environment, as they're interacting, they're downloading the existing model, using it to play with their environment, and then they're feeding new information. As we have a continuously updated model, what does that mean about the utility of the model? Because it's now so much more useful than just a single CAD model. And so this is where our next big idea comes in, and that is collaboratively created, continuously updated models are no longer just consumed by a single person or a single CAD program. They are now consumable by machines. A telemedicine robot can now know the entire layout of a hospital and know where to go visit its patient. Visually impaired people with a 3D sensor can navigate buildings. Your augmented reality glasses will let you have a tour guide give you custom tours through a museum. And so the big takeaway here is collaborative creation of models lead to a few interesting side effects. One, the models live in the cloud. They're constantly updated and pervasive. And this means that they are consumable by machines as well as people for this next generation of applications. But even more importantly, the real magic is these sensors are already in everyone's pocket. People are already playing with these phones and interacting with their environment. So the magic of Paracosm is that we're harvesting this data in the background and create this automatically. So thank you very much, and that's it.